this inspirational hour, we're going to be talking to Dr. Semaj. Listen, I could introduce this man by his resume, but that would take me up to 5 o'clock. I'm going to handpick some things because he's noted as a leading psychologist, motivational and keynote speaker, creative thinker, and problem solver, and among the best in the region, and I'll say the world. He's a quantum transformation psychologist, combining ancient wisdom with contemporary levity to bring fresh insight to old human problems. As I said, I could go on and on and on, but we want to get more out of him than the introduction. So good afternoon, Dr. Semaj. How are you doing?
I'm very good, Dahlia. You just said I've been away from a long time before you go into media.
Yes. I was telling someone the other day that one of the most powerful experiences for me was Garnet Silk's last interview on radio, conducted by you, and I was a studio engineer.
Oh, yes.
And Luciano was also present.
Lucia was there too, and Tony Rebel.
And Tony Rebel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was telling him that's one of my one of those moments in radio that I'll never forget. So today we're talking about empathy. Empathy is such an important thing, but I don't know if we know what it is. I don't know if we know how to connect to it, find it, to reciprocate it, to show it. So let's start first of all by defining what it is. What is empathy?
Well, basically, the simplest is just being able to see, to feel, to understand things from another person's perspective. That's basically, if without empathy, all you can do is be totally selfish. You just see things just from so it's the ability to respond to other people's, their emotional, situation appropriately. It has a cognitive, you're able to understand someone else's response and their situation. It's your ability to listen, to understand, not just to listen to see when you can jump in and you can talk your part. So it's really just being able to, walk in somebody else's shoe, feel what they feel, see what they feel, know what they know, so you can incorporate that in how you deal with them. First of all, I think it's a developmental process, huh? Because, children grow up. Initially, the first developmental stage of children, they're totally egocentric. They can't see things from any other perspective but their own. But with time, they learn that even when I am not looking at something, it doesn't mean it has disappeared. A young child, they have a toy in front of them, and you put a book in front of the toy. They start to cry. The toy gone, because they can't see it. It means it doesn't exist anymore. But as the child gets older, they just move the book and because it's behind there. So it is same in terms of our developmental capabilities of being able to see things from somebody else's perspective. To feel what they feel.
Yeah.
How important is empathy, Doc?
But it is the foundation of all kinds of social interaction. First of all, in a relationship, if your partner, you have no sense of what's hurting them, how about even what they like? So you end up doing exactly the same things because just the way you want it done, just the way you don't like it, is the only way you understand it. So that if you aren't able to see things from your partner's perspective, even though it's not your perspective, so that's just one level. But then can you imagine in a society now, we're trying to build a nation and shape a society, but people just cannot see how someone else. You ever have a situation where a neighbor decide that 10 o'clock Sunday morning when you easy is that's when them want to play some hardcore dancehall music, and them turn up and bucket. And if you say anything, oh yeah, go on, so man can play little music and so on. That's a total lack of empathy. Is it quite possible that The neighbor don't want to hear what you want to hear at this time. So it makes for better interpersonal relationships at all levels because we're able to anticipate other people's needs
Mhm.
and work with it.
I wrote a piece about that, the neighbor, the two neighbor, them across them one another. And she said she wait till she put out the line of clothes before him like the rubbish
Yeah,
sheet.
yeah.
And the dog just a walk up and down and pull down every garbage bin. It really is important. And so in terms of, and you said it, in terms of, I guess let's start from our own life first, because I find that sometimes we tell people about what is good, what you need to do that's good for others. Why is it important for me to have empathy?
Well, it allows you to get along much better with other people. There's a
Hmm.
saying, you catch more fly with honey than with vinegar.
Yes.
Mm? So that if you're doing nice things for people, chances are they'll do nice things for you. One of my favorite quotes from Maya Angelou: people may forget what you said or forget what you did, but they'll never
Don't
forget
forget how you made
how
them
you made them
feel.
feel. So can you imagine, without empathy, you can inadvertently hurt people's feelings, even
Hmm.
without intending to. So you wonder what them have you up for. You wonder what you did, and you didn't realize how in well, the other word, how insensitive you were, how insensitive you were. So that it's a way, it really lubricates our social interaction at every level.
Hmm.
The other word that I would put close to empathy is emotional intelligence.
Yes.
You know, being able to anticipate somebody's feelings and know what's the appropriate way to respond.
Hmm. Hmm. And lack of it. Oh my gosh.
Lack of it, it makes relationships, it makes interaction painful, it makes it rough.
Yes.
And even
Hmm.
just from the perspective, it's one dimension for you to be able to anticipate what another person's feel. But then if you go a little further, you realize, what if they did that to you? What if they did that same thing to you? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Some people do not get the long term, the after effect, the extended impact that
Hmm.
if you do good for other people, another Bible verse tells us, a soft answer turneth away
Turns
wrath,
away right.
but
Hmm.
grievous words stir up anger. So when
Hmm.
something happens and you blaze upon the person, it's only natural for you to expect for them to blaze upon you.
Hmm.
But if you were to sort of just calm it down and ease it down and not say nothing,
Hmm.
sometimes the best thing is not say nothing. But
Yes.
again, it 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 it, Jamaican have a term where the person behave ignorant,
Yes.
and I think it is both a cognitive and an emotional construct. Ignorancy, because people are saying, but Lord, you don't realize what the person is trying to say to you, the person is trying
Hmm.
to do, and you're just blind and deaf and dumb to it. So it
Hmm.
makes for social intercourse painful and hard.
Yeah.
As you say that, Doc, can one confuse empathy with sympathy?
Very important construct. They're not the same thing, right? And you ever heard the session about do not mistake my kindness for weakness?
Yes.
Hmm? No, whereas sympathy is acknowledging that the other person is going through emotional and physical and provide them support and give them comfort. You don't have to really, you acknowledge it. You're sympathetic. Whereas empathy
Hmm.
is more than that. It's actually understanding it because you have had a similar experience and you're able to put yourself in their shoe.
That position.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So the notion,
Hmm.
for example, somebody had a death in their family. You express sympathy for the bereavement. Huh?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, just it's really just an expression. Sympathy is an expression, whereas empathy implies not more than expression. It's an action.
Hmm.
Empathy is a doing word because
Hmm.
you actively inject yourself in a situation because you feel it, you understand it, you know it. Two different constructs.
Yeah, and I think you get more out of people that way, because I feel like if I think that you are showing empathy to what I'm going through, then it makes me feel almost as if, I mean, loyalty is not the word to use, but if we're co-workers, I think it augurs well for the environment. Because
Oh,
if you
no,
come
well,
in and you say, Daily, I'm going to feel the energy today. I know things not so hot. Make that stay till tomorrow. We're good.
no,
Then
exactly.
then
So
tomorrow I come,
remember
I
I
probably
said,
have like,
remember I said
yeah,
a relationship and I also said building a nation. But guess what?
yes,
We spend more time with our coworkers than probably with our
yes,
family. So that if
yes,
you're working with somebody and there's no empathy, sometimes the person should be able just to feel what you feel. You come in the studio, you don't say nothing, just pull on your back and put on your headphone, uh,
yeah.
and then leave her alone, yeah. And then guess what? Yeah, Delia, me a tune for you now, Delia. And that must but play a tune. This one for Delia, Mama, try because you realize that you don't know is what, but you just feel that something is not right, and
Right.
there's something to change the
Mhm.
vibe. Another
Mhm.
construct, however, that is very important to this. As a psychologist, one of the things part of our training is that you learn how to empathize without becoming contaminated.
Explain that for me.
Sometimes, think of a situation where a friend is going through a hard time, and them
Mhm.
call you and tell Delia, so and so, and you start and you feel what they're feeling, and next thing she a cry and you a ball too,
Mhm.
because you have become contaminated. The empathy has gone now to the extreme level where now you
Mhm.
are being impacted by the same negative situation that she is having. You can't
Yes.
you can't help her. So that
Mhm.
and
You get overwhelmed too.
you're overwhelmed by it. No,
Mhm.
that's why I would
Mhm.
say no. As a psychologist, as a counselor, one has to be able to empathize without becoming contaminated.
Mhm.
So that's where sometimes you need professional assistance, because just your
Mhm.
own brethren or your own sister, the empathy could be so powerful and so useful, yes, but they become so contaminated that they can't even draw on any other strengths
Mhm.
to provide you any guidance to get you through what you're going through.
And empathy don't mean you have to fix it too,
That
because sometimes you are trying to fix it and you make it worse.
well,
Like if somebody is in a low mood, sometimes maybe what they want to do is to just be left alone. Or if you just be a presence, but sometimes you're going, come on, look at this, come on, look and that's not the mood they're in.
well, you see, there's a gender issue with that one.
Hey,
A lot
talk
of
to me.
lot of men believes if the lady is going through and says tell you something, she really want you to fix it. No, sometimes
Yeah.
she just want you to listen. She just want to hear
Mm.
her out or so on. She don't want you to fix it
Mhm.
for her. So the notion is
Mhm.
just being there to listen and to make sure
Mhm.
you ask the right questions and to make sure that you understand it, and you might even give some suggestions and so on. But it's not necessarily a call for you to fix the situation.
Mhm.
Not at all.
Mhm. Mhm. How can we, dear Kim, people who are listening, because sometimes I try, let me say, brother, you're not exercising emotional intelligence, but then to try to explain to them how to do it, I don't think I have the capacity. Are you able to say to us, these are some of the things that you can do to improve the way you empathize, or to even, I guess, yeah, improve the way you empathize?
Yes, yes. Well, because it has so many different components to it, it has a feeling component. Even just to
Mhm.
ask yourself now, what emotions could this person be experiencing? You're asking yourself, what could have prompted this? Don't just jump to the conclusion, because the person is sitting so down. Ask yourself some questions about it, but not necessarily even asking the individual, but ask yourself first. Why would she? What could have upset her? So I just came in and I just said good morning. So what good about the morning? No, but hold on. You now take it. You now take it up, and you're going now to it's turning to a bigger argument, as opposed to now just back off and say, "Ooh, it's one of those days, huh?" So maybe let me
Mhm.
start from a totally different perspective. So
Mhm.
you have to. we as human beings, and no, I must say this very carefully,
Yes.
we are largely emotionally illiterate. Now, literacy is being understanding of read and write, huh?
Yes.
But we feel emotions, but we don't know how to label them sometimes. No, it's people
Mhm.
like you now,
Mhm.
playwrights, screenplay writers, poets, lyricists, is only give with the lyrics to
Ah,
label our feelings. You follow me? So sometimes
gotcha.
we feel it, but we can't label it.
We
We
can't
don't
label
know.
it.
We don't know. So
Mm.
sometimes a lady came to see me some time ago, and she was having a really hard problem with her husband. And the way she described it, she said, "Boy, doc, the man go on like say me and him a roommate.
Mm.
Him coming late most evening, him have to stop and do this and do that and do that. And by the time all weekend, by the time I wake, him gone. And this goes on days after days after days, and just kind of. And I, the person is somebody I knew well, so I could interact beyond just client base. I said, Brethren, I really want to share something with you. Your wife
Mhm.
called me the other day, she said everything now 100. I just,
Mhm.
but I don't want to say nothing. Because I play a tune for you,
Mhm.
and I draw Luther Vandross, Buy Me a Rose. You know them big tune there?
Kenneth, come on, come
Yes,
on, Kenneth.
Kenneth, you know them big tune there?
yes, yes, Doc. I know them big tune.
It makes a difference, not true?
I mean, the man just sit down and listen tune, and the man, then him just start looking at himself now.
Mm.
Buy me a rose, call me from work. Mr. Luther just say it for me, right? I never have to say anything. So that's one of the things now. Empathy sometimes, we can learn it
Mhm.
because we have the feelings, so we have the, but sometimes we
We
can't
don't
label
know
it.
is what. We don't know what. We don't know how to. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get you.
You see,
I
so
get
so,
you.
so oftentimes the lyrics. That's why R&B. That's why R&B is so powerful. Hmm?
Mm.
That's why
Mm.
lovers rock so powerful.
Powerful.
Hmm?
Mhm.
Because boy, yeah, man, I draw a big tune in the back of it.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
You know,
Yes. Yes.
I mean, so oftentimes, sometimes, you can, as you listen to the music. Now, I am concerned about some of the music some of our young people are listening to because they are not getting instructions of how
Mm-mm.
to label emotions,
Mm-mm.
how to
Mm-mm.
respond to emotions, what certain
Mm-mm.
emotions mean,
Mean.
mm,
Mm.
so that it is just the gross things, violence and anger and pain. But there's all kind
Mhm.
of subtle emotions, anxiety
Yes.
and joy, insecurity. Because we are first emotional beings. There are times that something is wrong, and you can't find the words to express it.
Mm.
But you
But
hear a
you're
song.
feeling it.
There's absolutely you're feeling it, but
Mhm.
you don't have the words. So,
To express it
what kind of skills that are
that way.
strengthened? Yeah. First of all,
That we have to go.
oh,
Have words, please.